What's up, guys? My name is Robert Donaldson, and today I'm bringing you all another post-NFL draft player to team fit kind of video. And I just want to start off by saying thank you. You guys showed a lot of love on my most recent video about Tristan Wirfs, and a lot of y'all really opened up quality discussion, and interacting with you guys on that video was really just awesome. So thank you. With that said, today we're going to be taking a look at former Iowa defensive end AJ Epenesa and why I think his fit on the Bills defense on paper is a pretty big question mark, but a question mark in the sense that his usage could potentially come in a lot of different ways. And on the outside right now, we don't really know what the Bills are thinking in terms of his responsibilities or even his position at this point. When you look back to 2019, the Bills up front were rotating in a lot of guys throughout each game. But to sort of keep on track or on point in this video, we're only going to focus on the more notable ones. So at right defensive end, last season they used former first round pick Shaq Lawson and also longtime Bill Jerry Hughes. At 3-tech defensive tackle, they had a rotation that included last year's first rounder Ed Oliver, as well as Jordan Phillips. At nose tackle, it was usually 8-year veteran Star Lotulelei, and at left defensive end, more often than not, it was former Washington Redskin Trent Murphy. So the two guys we're really going to highlight here are defensive ends Shaq Lawson and Trent Murphy, because these are the two guys that AJ is being more so brought in to replace. And we're going to take it even a step further and focus specifically on Murphy, because with Lawson, the Bills have already made the decision to not resign him, and now he's in Miami. So the thing is also with him, the Bills have already brought in a guy who I think can replace him immediately in the form of Mario Addison from the Carolina Panthers. So let's talk about Murphy. He's still currently a member of the Buffalo Bills roster, but you just gotta wonder how long he's gonna last, because over the past 2 seasons on the field, he just has not been playing up to par with what teams expect from an every down defensive end, and it certainly hasn't been what the Bills thought they were getting when they signed him from Washington. With Murphy, last season in particular, if we're being brutally honest, he was ineffective and made irrelevant more often than not when he was on the field for the Bills, regardless of whether he was serving as a run defender or as a pass rusher, but especially as a run defender, because when I say he was constantly running himself out of running lanes and constantly getting stonewalled or even just easily moved off his spot by a tight end or a tackle, I mean constantly. So the second AJ steps foot in that building, he's at the very least an upgrade as a run defender compared to Murphy. With AJ, you're looking at a guy who has shown ability to line up on both sides of the formation, as well as a guy who I believe can line up inside and out at the NFL level, just given his length, his power, his hand usage, and also his ability to shed blockers and take on double teams. And Buffalo Bills GM Brandon Beane has even come out and said that positional versatility was a major selling point with him. If you're somebody that's watched a lot of my videos, you know that I like mixing in some jargon and some overused football analogies from time to time, because although most of you have heard them and already know what they mean, I think providing that in-your-face visual adds a layer of depth to that meaning, at least for me, but I've always been a really big visual learner. So when I say that the NFL is a copycat league, this is what I'm talking about. Every person involved with the NFL watched last year's Super Bowl, whether from a perspective of wanting to learn or observe, or just from a pure intrigue or fandom standpoint. And for those watching critically, it was impossible to ignore how the 49ers moved around and varied their looks up front on defense to get after a guy in Patrick Mahomes who terrorizes every defense he faces. Every good defensive coordinator loves versatility, and there was no defensive line more versatile than the 49ers last season, and that played a large part in them making it to the Super Bowl. So the 49ers base defense on any given down is a 4-3, with 4-3 being in major quotations, because even when you're talking about the same player, snap to snap, his role might be something completely different from the previous snap. And One of those versatile defensive linemen we are talking about is Eric Armstead, who the 49ers just gave a boatload of money to after coming off a fantastic season where he sort of did it all for the 49ers up front. And on any given play, Armstead can take on 2 gap responsibilities on contain or while playing the run, while also being fully capable of executing 1 gap responsibilities where he's coming upfield, getting in the backfield, getting after the passer, or creating that disruption. And in a lot of ways, Armstead and Epenesa are a lot alike. Both guys use their length extremely well. They both have that power to stand up offensive linemen in 2 gapping situations or when utilizing a bull rush. And they both have a great motor that shows up a lot on backside pursuits. And I think if used correctly, Epenesa could line up all over the line of scrimmage, much like Armstead does in San Francisco. On any given play under defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, the 49ers could have 4 to 7 players up near the line of scrimmage, and if you're a Bills fan, you've seen some very similar alignments over recent years. Under defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier and head coach Sean McDermott, the Bills defense mostly utilizes 4-man fronts, and regardless of down or distance, it always seems like there's a linebacker or 2 lingering over the defensive line, trying to confuse that offense by making them think, is this guy going to bail into coverage once the ball snaps, or is he really coming on a blitz? And the thing is when you have personnel on the defensive line who are versatile and can line up in a number of different spots and can perform different responsibilities without having to completely overhaul the specific personnel to do so on any given play, whether it's 2 gapping responsibilities or 1 gapping or performing effective stunts, it adds that additional layer to a defense and keeps offensive linemen on their toes because they can't just look at the guy across from them and think, oh, this guy's on the field to do this, or this guy only specializes in this. If you're an offensive lineman, you never truly know what you're going to get play in and play out with the guy across from you. The thing with the Bills is although they have varied their looks on defense over the past few seasons, a lot of the guys they've had in the building during that time just haven't really been versatile in their skill sets and what they can do and where they can line up. And with that said, the Bills have been really making some great moves this offseason, in my opinion, bringing in guys like Mario Addison, who I mentioned earlier, but also guys like Vernon Butler and Quentin Jefferson, guys like that who can line up all over the line of scrimmage and do a lot of different things. And when you also take into account last year's first-round pick, Ed Oliver, who I also think can line up in a number of different spots and do a number of different things, and now the addition of AJ Epenesa, the Bills are building a really exciting, hyper-versatile front of their own, and if used correctly, I really think Epenesa can give this defense so much more potential and openness for creativity. But that's just it, isn't it? It's what we've been talking about all video, man. With AJ, Leslie Frazier, and Sean McDermott should already have a plan in place to maximize his potential. And that's not necessarily to say that AJ can't be productive in that Shaq Lawson or Trent Murphy traditional 6-9 tech role as a 4-3 defensive end. But if that's the entirety of his usage, it would be greatly underutilizing his skill set and potential and limiting his upside as a player and performer for the Bills on defense, period. Last season, the Bills on defense as a whole performed like one of the best units in the NFL. Straight up. They ranked top 10 in total defense, run defense, pass defense, takeaways, and sacks. And obviously speaking, that is no small feat. And with that said, given the moves they've made this offseason, they are clearly showing that they want to take it a step even further. So, will Leslie Frazier and company gloss over AJ's potential and versatility and try to slim him down to fit a little bit more of that traditional 4-3 defensive end prototype, a la Shaq Lawson or Trent Murphy? Or has adding somebody like AJ, who has that positional versatility, always been in the cards, and it just so happened that he fell perfectly into their laps in round 2? I guess that's something we're going to be finding out very soon. I would like to personally thank all of you beautiful people for checking out today's video. If you want to see more videos like this one in the future, please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you'd like, you can also follow me on Twitter at RobDFB. But more importantly than anything, guys, wherever you're seeing this, please leave a comment. I say it at the end of every video, but I'm serious. The interaction portion is the biggest reason I keep making these videos, and the conversations are what I always look forward to the most. With that said, take it easy, y'all.